We're beautiful.
Graciously wanted to speak to you guys and be part of the SisinBiz for a while. I've been knocking on Marley's door. When do I get to be a part of that secret society that you're talking about? I've heard great rumors, and as you heard, I got told you're not allowed sharing. It is secret. So I am so great to finally be in, and I'm very excited to share as much value as I possibly can in the short period of time that I get to speak to you guys. And honestly, the way that you described it is perfect. I'll take you through the trials and tribulations and then give you the outcomes of those and what I've realized in my over 2 decades of being a fitness coach and the multitude of things that you heard. And probably the best or the pinnacle of all of that is that I've gone through all of those different elements to get to where I am right now. And none of them were easy, and all of them came with some downfalls. So no matter where you're at in your journey, I hope that you get something out of tonight. And I know you'll get at least one thing. Like you said earlier, no matter what business you're in, you can learn from the different verticals. And I know that you will, because we're in fitness together. So you better get your phone out and start taking some notes. No, I'm just kidding. But feel free to do so. I lectured for 5 years at the Australian Institute of Fitness. Listening, you get about 10% of what I'm going to tell you tonight. If you're taking notes, you're going to get 40. And the best, if you're interacting with me and interacting with each other, taking notes, talking, then you get about 90% of what I'm going to be going through with you guys tonight about my entrepreneurial journey and how I believe that it can assist you in your businesses and where you guys are at right now. It was great having a feel for where everybody is and what you guys are getting out of this secret society and business, because that enables me to really cater to what I can give you tonight. Often I'll start speeches on finding your why and finding your passion. You guys are already there. The candles are amazing. I know you found your passion. Now how do we get you out to the world? How do we make you global? How do we share your passion even further? And tonight that's where I want to get you guys and what I want to give you. And over the Christmas break, hopefully you can take some tidbits and start implementing them in your business. And that brings me to my first really big tip for tonight. And it's about embracing change and taking action. And with the climate that we have right now, taking action could not be more important. And embracing change, let's not forget that first part of the sentence. It's big, it's huge. We all are feeling the different emotional anxieties and pressures that we're getting shown from the environment around us. I'm going to give you the little tricks that I utilize in my daily life and that I give my team of coaches that we then give our about 1,200 clients that we coach across Australia and New Zealand to help them focus and really get back aligned without those external pressures coming in at them. So the first one is going into embracing change and taking action. I don't mean taking action through a small amount, because we've heard that word. One of my favorite mentors, and I've gone through his university, is Tony Robbins, and he'll say, take mass action. Don't take little action. I want you to take the most extreme action that you can. And that's great, thank you, Tony, but how the hell do we do that? And if I'm running my own business, who do I have keeping me accountable? How do I get up every morning to keep going into that zone by myself, or possibly with kids around, with a huge distraction as well, because a lot of us are moms working from home, etc. How do I keep myself on track, and how do the first one is taking action with courage. So the first tip today is going to be around courage, and I call these tips, it's easy, there's 3 tips, the 3 C's. So the first one is courage. How do we get courage? And I'll start on my own journey of courage. The first business I developed was called Buzzville. It's still running, it's fantastic. It's not the main focus of mine now. I manage gyms across Australia and New Zealand, and probably the biggest thing is that I've learned those lessons. You'll often hear CEOs say, I don't want to take on anybody that's starting their first business. I want somebody that's at least gone through 2 or 3, because I need somebody that's got that experience of the failure and gotten back up, gotten back on the horse. That's one of the toughest things to do, and I know that everyone in this room, because you're here and you've been going with Marley to all these different events, you've done that. You've gone through some sort of failure and you've made it through. I'm going to give you a little bit of a, how do you get that courage to get back on without having to wait too long? Because sometimes it's great, you'll have a good friend that'll get you back into that courage, but sometimes you need to pull yourself out. So how do you get courage? I shared a little bit of this on Monday. One way to get courage, and it's really simple, and you can implement it tomorrow morning. It's by switching your brain from going into what it really is scared of and what it's thinking of, or in some cases, in the climate that we're having, that we're scared of getting into venues or what's going to happen next, where are we going to end up next with COVID, et cetera, et cetera. How do we get the courage to move forward in this kind of climate that we're going through right now? And it's called the 5-second rule, and it's developed by Robbins. My background, my mom's a psychologist. I always thought I wanted to get into psychology, and I was told that I talked too much, so that I became a lecturer and not a psychologist, because that main role is listening. So good thing, thank you, Mom. Got told that at a young age, kept going with it. So how do we get this courage to, with Mel Robbins, she was suffering from immense depression. She couldn't get out of bed for months and months and months, and as we all know, because we've all been through it, we have to go with the flow and the wave of what our business is doing. We're going to have ebbs where we are amazing, our financial stability is awesome, and then we're going to have flows where it's not so good and we feel like, why did I get into this in the first place? Oh my God, what am I doing? This little trick helps my clients, one, come to my session at 5 a.m., which sounds early, I know, but it's so important that we keep consistent, start a habit, and try something new. This can help you with that. So the reason that we call it the 5-second rule is because we literally count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like a rocket ship, like in NASA. But this technique's been utilized, who was in the military as well. They use this in the military. We use it with children when it's coming to assemblies. We'll say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and sit. If you count the other way, it actually doesn't trigger the brain to go into a thinking mode. It's like trying to get rid of hiccups. If you've ever done the drinking a glass upside down, you really need to switch your brain from what you're thinking or scaring someone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 can actually try it tomorrow morning, 15 minutes before you normally get up, and try pushing yourself out of bed and at the count of 1, like a rocket ship, burst out, and try to change some habits. The other one would be, and I'm going to get to this a little later on, which is so, so important, connecting with people that you might have been intimidated or not had the time to connect with before. In business, one of the most important things is making those uncomfortable phone calls that we didn't want to make, or sending the email that we haven't had the confidence to actually send yet. Using this rule, because your brain will try to keep you safe. It's so nice, thank you brain, we love you, but at all times it's trying to keep you safe. If you try the 5-second rule tomorrow morning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, first thing, that will give you the courage to start something new. Another great tip that a few mentors that I've done some work with is do one thing a day that scares you. I'm sure you guys have heard that before from some SisinBiz events. If you do one thing a day that scares you and implement this 5-second rule, this will enable you to help get over that block, that fear. And as you probably heard in my opening beautiful bio, thank you Marley, I know it was a handful, I was a BMX racer, and before probably this year, when I said BMX racing in a room full of women, they'd go, what the hell is that sport? But now that it's been in the Olympics, you might have seen it. It's that intense bicycle motocross going over jumps. And I actually started when I was 3 and was Canadian national champion at 5. So courage is something that I was naturally going into since before I can remember. If our biggest habits and our biggest installments are done before the age of 7, courage is something I've been playing with from a very young age. To get on that gate, as you could imagine, there weren't really any other girls in my category, so I was going against every single guy in Canada. And that enabled me to get that courage to continue in business, life, no matter where it comes from. It's usually, I was also a very massive tomboy, which helped with the courage, because if you're a tomboy at a young age, you also have to go through a lot of ridicule at a young age, and then I stopped caring what other people thought about me. And courage and confidence, if you're able to stop caring about, comparing yourself, looking at social media, or the news, which is often giving you that negativity, which I'll get to, because you need to surround yourself with positive people, huge, and give yourself the positivity environment, the positive environment that will enable you to grow as a sister in biz. That's where the real courage can start. So the first one, Mel Robbins, 5-second rule. Can I have a hands up? Who's going to try this tomorrow morning for me? We're doing it, awesome. And your hand didn't go up over there. Okay, that's good, because otherwise we're doing 10 squats together. No, I'm just kidding. When she said she encourages me to do fitness, I'm like, all right, I'm getting the hook off the stage. No one wants to hear about that right now. It's not New Year's resolutions yet. So absolutely try that. But there's a few other ways and techniques, and I know you know this from being a coach. As a personal trainer over the last 2 decades now, my job is actually not coaching people in the gym. It's not coaching the coaches. It's creating habits and instilling things in people that they never wanted to do. It's that, the things that you never want to do are the things that you have problems in. And that's what my job is really as a coach. You're never going to feel like it. I said that on Monday's Zoom call. Anybody know what Zoom is? We're on the same page. I saw that in a comedian the other night. I was like, I gotta use that one. She's awesome. So we know that the getting out of bed is hard. All of those areas can be quite difficult. Another thing that I've learned over the 2 decades of coaching is that I've read a few different books. One that's really helped me is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
I love so much.
How good. So the diagram in that book actually goes into taking action. So the first step in Mark Manson's book, and this is what he really has gotten known for, is how to help people take action towards their goals and not give a fuck. So he says in his wheel, and to help him get over his really big hump, he needed to take action. How did he take action? He started by doing the simplest things in his business, whether it started on doing an email footer, whether it started on just writing. I was saying to someone earlier, just getting up, writing the first 100 words. It doesn't even matter if they're really bad. If you want to start writing, write 100 words. That will give you the next part of the loop, which is motivation. So it will give you inspired motivation to keep going if you take action. You'd be surprised. Once you get to the email footer, that's done. Now you're going on to the website. Now you're getting the website, the URL. Next second, you're hiring somebody to assist you on the other elements, the links to get the paid shop set up. So if you can take that little step of action, that equals motivation, which then equals the other side, which is progress. It's going to help you build your business. And with Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and just taking that slight action, the other big part is not worrying about what other people are going to think, not falling into that norm of society where, well, is this going to be good enough? That's probably the biggest one I see a lot of females coming to me about when it comes to their business. They don't want to release something because it's not good enough yet. Just fucking release it. Because the second you release it, then you can move on to making it look pretty. It doesn't need to be perfect. Get that first step under the way, and then it will follow. So those are the 2 ones that I often use. With that taking action, I used this example the other day on our Zoom. Even if it's counting down, and remember, it needs to be backwards. It can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will not work. It needs to switch the brain from your back hemisphere to the frontal lobe, because your brain's trying to keep you safe at all times. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then start walking towards the person. Right? Start doing the action you said you do. Set a reminder. Email the person that you've been putting off emailing. So it takes that little bit. The last tip when it comes to taking action, and you guys already have this, is that you need somebody to help keeping you accountable. So around you right now, you've got all the best people to keep you accountable. We're sisters in business. It's so important to even have one person, whether it's your partner, a best friend, somebody that says, hey, Jackie, did you actually get that done on Monday, or you just said that you were going to? No, I got it done, Maggie. And no matter what level you're at, I've worked with a billionaire who's been an amazing mentor of mine, who helped see me get to a different level. No matter what level you're at, he has mentors. You always need somebody in your life to help keep you accountable, to help take that mass action. So if you can, those 3 little tips of taking mass action: 1, very practical; 2, looking into just not caring and taking that first step of Mark Manson's suggestion; and lastly, just moving forward and getting that person to keep you accountable. Because without somebody keeping you accountable, it's really hard, and you guys already know that. So make sure that you have those 3 things in place, and it's going to be hard not to take action. So, embracing change. You've done that because you're taking action in the climate that is very volatile right now. The biggest millionaires were made in recessions. From IBM to Apple to Microsoft. Disney was made in a recession. This is our biggest opportunity right now as entrepreneurs. Now's the time for us to, instead of shy away, but start taking that mass action and making change. Don't be afraid and don't get caught into the dogma. That's what I was saying, turn off the news. So important. If you turn off the news, you'll go into my next C, which is confidence. So we've got the courage, we've taken the first step. Now, how the hell do you get confidence? How did I get confidence to get on this stage? One way is called priming. And you might say, well, of course you're confident. You've been doing it since a young age. You've been speaking for over 10 years. I prime every time I get on stage. I say to myself, driving here in the car, I told Kate, I'm sorry, it needs to be a bit quiet. She's like, what is she doing now? And I'm embracing, I am good enough to be on stage today. I am good enough to share my value with these ladies, and I know that I will have some sort of impact, whether it be on the front row that's nodding, or Peta who's filming in the back row. I love you, thank you. I want to be able for you guys to prime yourself to get ready. So one of the things and priming is used by a lot of different mentors. Tony does it in the morning, for example. Priming is a way to talk to yourself because your brain is naturally built to be negative. It's unfortunate, but in the early primordial years, we were taught to be afraid all the time to survive. Now we don't need to be afraid all the time. Now we can go through the flow of life, and literally our brain is deterring us from great opportunities. So how do we switch our brain? Our brain is like a muscle. The more that you talk to yourself, the more that you're going to get that courage, that confidence, second C, to take that next step. So you need to prime your brain, and you need to tell yourself whether it's a morning jog. Yes, if you guys are doing morning jogs, using the 5-second rule, great job. And saying, I'm good enough, I'm worthy, I'm ready, I'm powerful, I am fucking awesome, and I'm going to sell some candles today. I'm going to change some people's lives when it comes to their relationships, so important. And I'm ready to make huge change in nutrition, in a person's diet, in the way they look, they feel, that you guys are totally ready to do that. So that's so important when it comes to confidence. Prime your brain because it's trying to keep you safe, because back in the caveman days, that's what it was taught to do. So priming is a great way to give you confidence. The next thing of confidence is, and Marley said this fantastic, and I know that this has come up before, stay in your own lane. We're all in our own lane. There's actually no competition, and comparing yourself to others is only going to bring you down. You don't need to, and it's not going to make you better in business. You need to surround yourself with fellow sisters like you're doing right now to help accelerate your growth. So make sure that you stay in your own lane and look out for distraction. Try not to watch the news. Try not to get distracted by that. Listen to inspiring podcasts. Read motivational books. Watch some awesome Netflix series. And don't let yourself get distracted by the outside world. We're much better. We were built to be creative rather than consume. So how do we get into that creative zone and block out all of those other things? It's up to you to do that in your quiet time. And what you do in your quiet time shows in public. So what you do in private, that's coming out all day in public. So you know that just from that, you need to be putting yourself in that positive mind frame. You need to be set yourself up with a great strategy by listening to people that are in your same business vertical, or like you mentioned earlier, different verticals that can help you get to the next level. So confidence does not come naturally. I believe that it is instilled, and failure is how it is instilled. So the last little tip around confidence is don't be afraid to fail. One of my favorite quotes, and I grew up being inspired by him. I actually met him in Vegas, is Michael Jordan. And that's an amazing story. Came down the elevator, 11 p.m. at night, there he is, just walked straight in, told him I was going to wear his number in Australia, and he walked with me and we had a great chat. He's been a huge inspiration for me. And if you've seen it, it was one of the biggest commercials on the air. It said, I've failed over and over and over in my life, and that is why I succeed. So remember that failure is what makes you great. The reason that we fail is to learn. Oprah says this very well. If we fail, it's telling us that we need to go just slightly this path over here. Every time we fail, it's made for us to pivot. So it's a perfect way for us to not give up, but pivot in a slightly different direction. So failure equals that confidence, and that's going to help instill you to move forward. How am I doing? I'm doing okay with time? Do I have 10 more minutes?
Yep.
No? Okay, I always go a little bit over. The last one, connection. You need to connect, in particular in a time like this. Connection has created everything, like the failures that I have had, the reason I've gotten through them and gotten over them has been from great connections. And how I got my most recent business called Weltwork was I was speaking in a restaurant about different pieces of equipment because my other business wasn't going so well and I needed to get an income source that was a bit more steady. I love when people are ashamed that they have to pivot. If you don't have to pivot, you have not even started, girlfriend. Jesus, the amount of times you heard, I'm like altitude trainer, I've pivoted a million times. It's been fantastic. It's made me who I am. So pivoting's been great. I'm talking about this new fitness equipment. All of a sudden he said, you got fitness equipment, you know how to manage gyms. Can you open 13 gyms for me? That was after a yacht club event 4 years ago. Just from staying on the path, slightly pivoting so I get my income together. Even though Buzzville, my fitness app, wasn't doing so well, I kept on the track of, I know that I'll get there. I know it feels right. I'm in the right industry. Things are slowly progressing, but I still had that courage and that confidence to go up to people and speak about the new up-and-coming things that I thought I could do. So connection is huge. Everybody connect with one new person tonight and get their business card and see what happens out of that connection. Because you never know. Use the 5-4-3-2-1 rule. Go up, connect with somebody, find a mentor that's in your industry, and connect with them. That's going to be one of the biggest pieces of information or advice I can give you that's helped me on my journey. I've connected with great people that have assisted me along the way. And so important in that connection piece, I love giving back now. Like, it is my favorite thing to do. If I can assist you guys in business, then please reach out to me. Because I wouldn't be standing here today with 2 businesses if women like yourself didn't help me. So connect and make sure that you return that favor and help others connect as well. One of my favorite sayings growing up, my mom I lived in England and I was raised in a very English background, is that treat the janitor like the queen. And I've always done that my whole life, and that everyone, we were at a Christmas party last night and someone said, is she actually always this nice? And of course I'm not always that nice, because we need to have strategic times where we give people feedback. Harsh feedback, I love that you mentioned that. But treating people with respect and not judging people on where they're from or what they can give you is how you make it. That is the biggest thing. So connect with everyone. You never know what that connection is going to equal. With love and integrity, it can be the biggest game changer in your business as well. So that is why
We're beautiful.